Hi guys, it isn't exactly news to claim that Lee Anderson isn't the sharpest tool in the shed. So when he stood up in the House of Commons on Monday, well, we knew we were in for a treat. So following the news that the Labour government has removed tens of thousands of people who had either failed in their asylum claims or who had breached the conditions of their visas, Reform UK's Lee Anderson tried to appeal to people who will never be happy by asking if the Prime Minister is angry that people are coming to Britain in the first place and costing the taxpayer money. I'll get into the irony of that in just a moment, but first have a listen.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Since the Labour government came to power, over 30,000 people have entered our country illegally, and the Prime Minister says he's very angry about this. But he's not as angry as the British taxpayers would have forked out £1.2 billion a year to keep these illegal invaders in our country. So does the Minister agree with me that anybody arriving here illegally should be detained and deported?
Minister. Madam Deputy Speaker, we have a duty to ensure that those arriving on our shores, if they claim asylum, are properly processed. The party opposite prevented itself from doing that by becoming obsessed about the Rwanda scheme and left us with a huge backlog. We will speed up immigration processing so that we can deal with those people, protect those who have a right to be here, and send back those who have failed. And I hope that the honourable gentleman will welcome the steep increase in returns and removals that I've just announced.
Okay. Oh my goodness, Lee Anderson is such a joke. So the irony, of course, is that when the Conservatives were in charge, they made it a political decision. They took a political decision not to process claims. Imagine, they keep complaining about immigration, they keep complaining about people being in hotels, they keep complaining about the cost of the asylum process. But they refused to process claims. So, of course, people remained in limbo. And Lee Anderson was a member of the Conservative Party. He wasn't just a member, he was the deputy leader of the Conservative Party while all of this was happening. So the Conservatives decided we're not going to process claims, we're going to keep this backlog growing and growing, we're going to keep this political issue a hot potato because we can take advantage of this situation. We don't care about asylum seekers, we don't care about the cost. They were willing to spend almost £750 million on the Rwanda scheme that came to nothing, a joke, a gimmick. So they were willing to waste huge amounts of money, taxpayers' money, on something they knew would not work. And Lee Anderson was part of the Conservative Party, a senior member of the Conservative Party, when the Conservatives were not processing asylum claims. So it's a bit ironic for him to complain about any of the cost here, because his party, when he was deputy leader, was pushing this. As I keep saying, it was for political reasons. They believed that they could use the issue of immigration against the Labour Party as a wedge issue, something they could convince people, look, don't vote for Labour because we're tough on immigration, they'll be weak on immigration. Now, I'm not sure I fully agree with what the Labour Party are doing at the moment, but this seems popular with the public. And this has the potential to take votes away from Reform UK. Because there may be some people who are not beyond the pale, people who are concerned about immigration or people who believe immigration numbers should come down. So when they hear news that Labour have deported a lot of people who allegedly are not supposed to be in the country, then this is going to turn them off from voting for reform, because it's something that's taken away from anything that's leaning in favour of reform. So, some people will vote for reform no matter what. But if there's some people who are a bit more moderate and there's a chance of winning them back, then a policy like this could work. We'll have to wait and see if it will actually be successful. But taking power away from reform, taking their red meat from them, is going to be a problem. But it is a bit ironic that Lee Anderson is raising this alarm or asking this question because, well, he used to be a senior member of the Conservatives. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think, and thanks for watching.